Hello everyone, myself Shekhar. I am from CS department. Today let us discuss about the topic Introduction to Loop Variables in Django. When working with Django templates, developers often need to iterate over lists or dictionaries to display dynamic content. In these scenarios, Django provides a set of built-in loop variables that can help streamline the process and provide valuable information about the current state of the iteration. In this comprehensive guide, we will explore the key loop variables in Django, including for loop, parent loop, for loop, rev counter, and for loop rev counter 0, and demonstrate how to effectively utilize them in your web application. Understanding the concept of for loop, parent loop, nested loops. When working with nested loops in Django templates, the for loop, parent loop variable become particularly useful. This variable provides a reference to the parent loop, allowing you to access information about outer loop while iterating through inner loop. Tracking context. By leveraging for loop, parent loop, you can maintain context and tracking the progress of the outer loop even while iterating through the inner loop. This can be invaluable when displaying complex data structures or generating dynamic content that relies on multiple levels of iteration. Versatile applications. The for loop, parent loop variable can be used in a variety of scenarios, such as creating dynamic table layouts, rendering nested lists, or generating complex data visualizations. Its flexibility makes it a powerful tool in the Django development toolkit. Example of for loop, parent loop usage. Nested model data. Imagine a scenario where you have a Django model that represents a category and each category has lists of products. In your template, you might have a nested loop to display the category name and the associated products. Accessing parent loop. Within the inner loop, for the products, you can use for loop, parent loop to access the information about the outer loop. For the categories, this allows you to display relevant context such as the current category name or index alongside the product details. Improved readability. By leveraging for loop, parent loop, your Django templates become more readable and maintainable, as you can easily reference and display the necessary context without having to manage complex data structures or pass additional variables from your view. Exploring for loop, rev counter, reverse counter. For loop rev counter is a loop variable that provides the number of iterations remaining in the current loop. In other words, it starts with the total number of items in the loop and decrements by 1 on each iteration. Tracking progress. This can be particularly useful when need to display on the current position of an item within a list or collection, or when you want to apply special styling or behavior based on the position of the current item in the loop. Versatile applications. For loop rev counter can be used in a variety of scenarios, such as generating numbered lists, displaying time remaining indicators, or creating pagination controls in your Django templates. Example of for loop rev counter usage. Numbered list. Imagine you have a list of blog posts that you want to display with a numbered list. You can use for loop rev counter to display the current position of the post in the list, providing a clean and intuitive way for users to navigate the content. Pagination controls. When implementing pagination in your Django application, for loop counter can be used to display the current page number or number of items remaining on the current page, helping users understand their position with the overall data set. Visual indicators. You can also use for loop counter to apply custom styles or behaviors based on the current position of the item in the loop, such as highlighting the last item in a list or displaying a new badge on first few items. Understanding for loop encounter 0 based indexing. For loop encounter 0 is similar to for loop and encounter, but it provides a 0 based index instead of 1 based index. This means the first iteration of the loop will have a value of 0, the second iteration will have a value of 1, and so on. Compatibility with common conventions. Zero based indexing is common convention in programming, and for loop counter 0 can be particularly useful when you need to maintain consistency with other data structures or libraries that use zero based indexing, such as Python lists or arrays. Streamlined calculations. By using for loop counter 0, you can often simplify the logic in your Django templates, as you can directly use the index value for tasks like pagination, numbering, or displaying styles based on the current position in the loop. Example of for loop counter 0 usage. Pagination. Imagination you have list of products that you want to display with a pagination. You can use for loop counter 0 to calculate the current page number and display it in your template, making it easy for users to understand their position within the overall data set. Indexed list. When displaying a list of items, you can use for loop counter to generate a zero based index that can be used for tasks like applying custom styles or generating unique identifiers for each item in the list. Dynamic styling. You can also leverage for loop counter 0 to apply dynamic styles or behavior based on the current position of the item in the loop, such as highlighting the first or last item or alternating the background color of list items. Comparing for loop counter and for loop counter, there are three: one based on indexing, 0 based indexing, and choosing right variable. Best practices for using loop variables. There are readability, performance, and consistency. Conclusions and the key takeaways. In this comprehensive guide, we explore the powerful loop variables available in Django templates, including for loop, parent loop, for loop recounter, and for loop recounter 0. These variables provide valuable context and functionality that greatly simplify the process of iterating over data and displaying dynamic content in your web application.